It is narrated that when Imam Husayn, ASS, was born, the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, started to cry over Imam Husayn. When he was asked why he was crying, he replied with eyes filled with tears, "An unjust group shall slay him after me." Imam Husayn was raised in a pure family. His grandfather is the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him. His father is Imam Ali, a Saris. His mother is Lady Fatima, a Ais, and his brother is Imam Hassan, a Sex. Peace be upon them all. He had the best of characteristics and morals, such as kindness, humility, courage, patience, and always upheld the truth and forbade wrongdoing. After the Prophet's death, and even before his death, there was discord and disunity between companions, certain Arab clans, and the hypocrites. The pure family of the Prophet had to deal with extreme difficulty and great danger, not only to themselves and their family, but to Islam as a whole. There are many chains of events that led to the martyrdom of Imam Husayn in Karbala, but we want to start with a person called Muawiyah. So who was Muawiyah? Muawiyah is the son of Abu Sufyan, who was a staunch enemy of the Holy Prophet and fought many wars against him, peace be upon him. Muawiyah's mother is Hind. She is known for her hatred towards the Prophet and for the horrific act of eating the liver of the Prophet's uncle, Hamza, the noble defender of Islam. Muawiyah grew up in a family known to be cunning, materialistic, and hungry for power. Muawiyah and his father, Abu Sufyan, are called Tulaka, a term which literally means those who were set free, even though they deserve punishment. The term was used after the conquest of Mecca, when certain people became Muslim only to save their lives. Muawiyah was very hypocritical in his actions and held extreme vengeance in his heart against the Holy Prophet, his family, and his followers. Muawiyah had an elder brother called Yazid, not to be confused with his son, also called Yazid. His brother was appointed as a main commander by Abu Bakr after the Prophet's death. Later, Umar ibn al-Khattab appointed him as governor of Syria and surrounding areas. After Yazid died, Umar placed Muawiyah in his brother's position as governor. Upon coming to power, Muawiyah took advantage of the rich public treasury of Syria, using it for personal gain to buy favors and influence people. After Umar died, Uthman reappointed Muawiyah to the same position, even though many people had objections. Uthman also gave Muawiyah additional powers and influence, to the point that Muawiyah became the most powerful and influential ruler of the Islamic lands. The unjust distribution of the public treasury by Uthman and the appointment of unjust governors led to an uproar and protest by the Muslims, which eventually led to Uthman being killed. Imam Ali, Excellence, became the rightful caliph of the Muslims. He ordered that the wealth and properties of the public treasury that had been unjustly taken must be returned. Certain leaders did not like their positions being taken away, so they began to plot against Imam Ali. Imam Ali also removed unjust governors from their positions, especially Muawiyah. Muawiyah wasn't going to stand down quietly, especially after gaining so much power, so he refused and also started plotting against Imam Ali. Those who lost their positions and couldn't regain power allied with Aisha, the Prophet's widow, and claimed they were seeking revenge for the killers of Uthman. This started a war among the Muslims, known as the Battle of the Camel. Imam Ali couldn't ignore the situation. He had to act fast to restore peace and order. He tried to persuade the opposition of their wrongdoing, but did not succeed. This led to thousands of people losing their lives. After the opposition was taken down and the war was over, Imam Ali stayed in the city where the war took place for a while, trying to restore law and order. At the same time, Muawiyah had plotted to kill Imam Ali, and another war broke out between them, known as the Battle of Siffin. As Imam Ali's army was about to win the war, Muawiyah deceived the people by raising Qur'ans on spears, forcing the Imam into negotiation and arbitration. An arbitrator, Muawiyah's sly tactic, confused many people, and Muawiyah escaped defeat. The arbitrator did not deliver the message of the Imam and deceived the people. Certain followers from Imam Ali's army were confused about the outcome and felt double-crossed and deceived by Muawiyah. This slight trick of Muawiyah left them disappointed, and some of them rebelled during and after the war, forming a separate group called the Kharijites. The Kharijites took matters into their own hands. They neither obeyed Imam Ali nor supported Muawiyah, opposing both due to their own twisted understanding. They continued to cause mischief, and Imam Ali, ASS, made many attempts to calm them down, but this ultimately resulted in a war called the Battle of Nahrawan. The Kharijites were defeated, some were wounded, and others escaped. In the meantime, Muawiyah used this opportunity to invade other regions such as Egypt, Hijaz, Yemen, Iraq, and other neighboring territories to gain more power and influence. He bribed many of the Imam's troops, and many of them defected to join Muawiyah. Muawiyah also spread secret agents across the Islamic world to defame the Ahlul Bayt. He even went so far as to curse Imam Ali from the pulpits in the mosques. The Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, has said, "Loving Ali is a sign of belief, and hating Ali is a sign of hypocrisy." In another narration, "We recognize the hypocrites by their hatred of Ali." The Kharijites who had escaped now planned to assassinate Imam Ali, Muawiyah, and another figure. While Muawiyah, an enemy of the Prophet and of Imam Ali, got away, Imam Ali, A.S. Saddens, was martyred while praying. Never in history has there been a ruler like Imam Ali, A.S. says, in justice and purity, one who preferred truth over falsehood and never obeyed selfish desires. After his martyrdom, Imam Hassan, or A.S. says, the son of Imam Ali, became the rightful caliph of the Muslims. Imam Hassan faced extremely difficult conditions from the start. Most of the people and his own followers were gripped by fear and insecurity caused by Muawiyah's mischief. With Imam Hassan's wisdom and knowledge, he exposed Muawiyah's hypocritical behavior. To prevent further bloodshed among the Muslims, he made a peace treaty with Muawiyah under certain conditions. Some of the conditions were: Imam Hassan would hand over authority to Muawiyah, provided that Muawiyah would rule according to the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet. Muawiyah would not appoint a successor after him. The leadership would return to Imam Hassan, and if he passed away, to Imam Husayn, A.S. Muawiyah would provide security to the people. Imam Hassan would not be harmed, and Muawiyah must stop cursing Imam Ali and instead speak well of him. Muawiyah had to repay the rights of the oppressed. Muawiyah must not defame or plot secretly against Imam Hassan and Imam Husayn. Muawiyah agreed to all these conditions and thus became the legitimate caliph of the Muslims. Soon after Imam Hassan, Imam Husayn, and their family left Iraq and went to Medina, a country that had previously deserted both of them and their father. In Medina, both Imams wasted no time. They began holding gatherings for Islamic discussions. These gatherings became highly successful and gained tremendous popularity. People traveled from as far as Egypt, Iraq, Yemen, and other regions to Medina to learn from the Imams. As a result, they produced a large number of Islamic scholars. Meanwhile, Muawiyah broke the peace agreement and tried his best to defame the Ahlul Bayt and stop them from gaining popularity. One of his main tactics was to appoint preachers in all areas under his control to spread hatred against the Ahlul Bayt and distance people from them. He also instructed people to forge narrations and falsely attribute them to the Prophet, so that the value of the Ahlul Bayt would be diminished. These fabricated narrations are divided into three main types. 1. Narrations in praise of certain companions, elevating them to a level equal to or even higher than the Prophet and his Ahlul Bayt. Second, narrations that defame and reduce the status of the Ahlul Bayt, especially Imam Ali. Third, narrations fabricated to glorify Muawiyah and his supporters in an attempt to give them legitimacy. Muawiyah also fabricated narrations in praise of himself, his father, and his family. Another heinous act he committed was sending secret agents to terrorize, kidnap, or even kill innocent people, especially those loyal to Ahlul Bayt. Instead of using the public treasury to help the needy, Muawiyah's governors used it freely and excessively for their personal gain. Many followers of Ahlul Bayt protested against Muawiyah's injustice, but they were killed, such as Hujr ibn Adi and other noble companions. Muawiyah had a son named Yazid, whom he wanted to become the caliph of the Muslims after him. Yazid became a symbol of corruption, oppression, drunkenness, and an example of disbelief and apostasy. Wherever there is mischief and corruption, there is the name of Yazid, and wherever there is truth, justice, and righteousness, there is the name of Imam Hassan and Imam Husayn, peace be upon them. However, Muawiyah knew that the peace agreement he had signed with Imam Hassan, A.S. says, would cause major conflict among the people if he appointed Yazid as caliph. because it violated the treaty's conditions. Therefore, Muawiyah secretly plotted to clear the path for his son. He offered Imam Hassan's wife a large sum of money and promised her marriage to Yazid if she would poison the Imam. Medina was never the same without Imam Hassan. The people missed him dearly and began to see the true reality of Muawiyah, hating his hypocritical behavior. Muawiyah continued to bribe people to pledge allegiance to his son Yazid. With Imam Hassan out of the way, many people accepted Yazid out of fear of being killed or were tempted by large sums of money. But Imam Husayn and his followers refused to pledge allegiance to Yazid. They stood firm against his corruption and tyranny. Eventually, Muawiyah fell seriously ill, suffering from various diseases, and died. Yazid then assumed power as the next illegitimate caliph, continuing the same policies of bribery, threats, and oppression. Yazid sent a message to his governor in Medina, Walid ibn Utbah, instructing him to demand allegiance from Imam Husayn, or else kill him. Imam Husayn refused and decided to leave Medina, taking his family and heading toward Mecca. The Imam knew that during the Hajj season, many people from across the Muslim world would be present in Mecca. He intended to use this opportunity to gather support against Yazid's unjust rule. The entire empire was suffering. Anyone who dared speak out against Yazid was dealt with harshly. The chastity of women was no longer protected. Marriage lost its sanctity, and dignity was trampled upon by Yazid's brutal soldiers. When Imam Husayn reached Mecca, he began receiving thousands of letters from the people of Kufa, urging him to come and lead them. They promised their support and loyalty. The people could no longer bear the oppression. They wanted someone to defend the true religion of Allah. However, Imam Husayn knew the people of Kufa, their unstable character and history of betrayal. He therefore sent his cousin, Muslim ibn Aqil, to Kufa to gather first-hand information about the situation. Meanwhile, Yazid sent spies into Mecca to assassinate the Imam, showing no regard for the sanctity of the holy city. The Imam became aware of this and carefully evaluated the risk. According to some reports, Imam Husayn then received a letter from Muslim ibn Aqil stating that over 18,000 people in Kufa had pledged their support and it was safe for him to come. Upon receiving this news, Imam Husayn decided to head to Kufa. Yazid, upon learning of Muslim success, appointed Ubaidullah ibn Ziyad as governor of Kufa. Ibn Ziyad was a ruthless tyrant who hated the Ahlul Bayt and shed their followers' blood without hesitation. As Imam Husayn's caravan drew closer to Kufa, he received shocking news. Muslim ibn Aqil and another noble companion, Hani ibn Urwa, had been arrested and beheaded by Ibn Ziyad. Imam Husayn gathered his companions, informed them of the betrayal and tragedy, and said, "The people of Kufa have deserted us. Anyone who wishes to leave us may do so freely and without guilt." Some of the companions, fearful of what lay ahead, left the caravan. However, Imam Husayn, ASAs, continued his journey with his loyal family and companions. Eventually, they were intercepted by 1,000 horsemen, led by Hur ibn Yazid, who was sent by Ibn Ziyad under Yazid's command. Imam Husayn warned Hur of the consequences of obeying an oppressor like Yazid and urged him not to stain his hands with the innocent blood of the family of the Holy Prophet. At first, Hur was ignorant of the full situation, but he quickly realized that Imam Husayn was determined to sacrifice everything for truth, justice, and the preservation of Islam. Universal Reform Hur suggested to Imam Husayn, ASAs, that he travel to a place that was neither Kufa nor Medina until they could speak with the governor, Ibn Ziyad. The Imam, along with his family and companions, continued their journey, and Hur followed them. Eventually, they reached a barren land known as Karbala, where they stopped and set up their tents. That day was the 2nd of Muharram. When Ibn Ziyad realized that the Imam had stopped, he sent another group of soldiers to surround him. This group was led by a greedy tyrant named Umar ibn Sa'ad. On the 7th of Muharram, Umar ibn Sa'ad moved his forces closer to the Imam's camp and blocked access to the river, cutting off the water supply. From that day on, not a single drop of water was allowed to reach the Imam's family. The scorching desert heat sent waves of suffering through the camp, and the little children began to cry from intense thirst. 2 days later, on the 9th of Muharram, a wicked man named Shimr ibn Dil Jawshan arrived in Karbala with thousands of additional soldiers. He brought direct orders from Ibn Ziyad. If Imam Husayn, ASS, did not surrender and pledge allegiance to Yazid immediately, he would be killed on the spot. When Imam Husayn, ASS, received this ultimatum, He refused to give allegiance to a man like Yazid. However, he asked for a delay until the next day so that they could spend the night in worship, prayer, and reflection. That night, the Imam gathered his loyal companions and said, "The enemy is only after me. You are free to leave under the cover of darkness. I will not hold it against you." Those who had joined for the wrong reasons had already left earlier. The ones who remained were the true and faithful, ready to sacrifice everything. The next morning, the 10th of Muharram, known as Ashura, was a day of unparalleled tragedy in the history of humanity. After performing the morning prayer, the companions of the Imam came forward, one by one, to address the enemy, trying to convince them of the horrific crime they were about to commit. Finally, Imam Husayn, AS himself, came forward, delivering a powerful speech to the enemy camp, reminding them of his noble lineage and the injustice of their actions. His words were so moving that Hur, who had once led the opposition, repented and joined the Imam's side before it was too late. Impressed and shaken by the Imam's words, some soldiers from Umar ibn Sa'ad's army also defected and joined Imam Husayn. Fearing more defections, Umar ibn Sa'ad threw the first arrow, marking the start of the battle. This began a brutal confrontation. After some individual duels, there was a general attack in the late morning. Though vastly outnumbered, the army of Imam Husayn, ASS, fought with unmatched courage. One by one, the companions were martyred, including Ali al-Akbar, the beloved son of the Imam. Ali al-Akbar obtained permission to fight and charged into battle. He bravely killed around 200 soldiers according to some reports before being attacked from all sides. Imam Husayn rushed to his son, only to find him breathing his last. Holding his son's broken body, he wept and said, "May Allah destroy the people who killed you, my son." The sons of Imam Hassan, ASS, and Lady Zainab, as well as their cousins, also sought permission to fight. They too were martyred, believing deeply in the Imam's mission. Then came the turn of Abis ibn Ali, the brother of Imam Husayn and the flag bearer of the camp. He could no longer bear the cries of the thirsty children and the suffering of the women. Filled with courage and compassion, he charged toward the river Euphrates, cutting through enemy lines. Though he was parched himself, Abbas refused to drink, determined to bring water to the camp. He filled his water skin and rushed back, but on his return he was ambushed. His arms were severed, and he was severely wounded. He fell from his horse, and with his final breath he still thought of the children. Imam Husayn ran to him, devastated. The fall of Abbas was one of the most heartbreaking moments of Ashura. Despite everything, the Imam remained patient. Then the Imam heard the cry of his 6-month-old infant, Ali Asghar, suffering terribly from thirst. The Imam lifted the baby in his arms, appealing to the enemy for a single drop of water. Rather than show mercy, the enemy fired an arrow that struck the baby, killing him in the Imam's arms. The Imam trembled with grief, yet he raised the baby toward the heavens and said, "O Allah, bear witness to what this nation has done." Now alone, Imam Husayn, ASS, stood before thousands of enemy soldiers. Wounded, exhausted, and in unimaginable pain, he fought valiantly until he was surrounded. His body was pierced with swords, spears, and arrows. Some reports say he endured over 120 wounds. Eventually, Imam Husayn fell to the ground. The enemy beheaded him while he lay defenseless. Even after his martyrdom, their cruelty continued. Umar ibn Sa'ad ordered the tents to be burned, the bodies of the martyrs to be trampled by horses, and the heads of the fallen to be placed on spears. The women and children of the Prophet's household were chained, beaten, and taken as prisoners to Kufa and later to Syria, paraded through the streets with no regard for their sanctity or nobility. This is how the beloved family of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him and his family, was treated in Karbala. This is the price they paid to preserve the true message of Islam. May Allah remove His mercy from all those who paved the way for the killing of Imam Husayn, his family, and his loyal companions.